All right, let's get right into this explainer. The core question we're tackling today is an absolute game changer. Can AI actually become smarter than humans? For decades, the idea of machines outsmarting humanity belonged strictly to the realm of science fiction. You'd see it in movies and read it in books. But today, fueled by unprecedented billions in funding and rapid, mind-blowing breakthroughs, this isn't sci-fi anymore. It's a pressing, real-world geopolitical reality. We're going to look closely at the data, the theories of cognitive evolution, and the very real strategic scenarios mapping out our future. Here is our roadmap for today. We're covering 5 key areas. First, defining intelligence and sentience. Second, the technological singularity. Third, forecasting the AI timeline. Fourth, the threat of superintelligence. And finally, number 5, strategies for human survival. Let's kick things off with Section 1, defining intelligence and sentience.
So look, today's AI is incredibly powerful, no doubt about it, but it still operates within some pretty strict boundaries. It absolutely crushes us humans when it comes to processing speed, crunching massive volumes of data, and executing tasks with just endless, repetitive precision. But humans? We still completely own the space of creativity, deep empathy, ethical judgment, and actually adapting to totally new, unknown situations. Current AI can mimic understanding really well, but it lacks true subjective experience. That's exactly why right now AI is viewed as a tool to augment us, not replace us.
But researchers aren't stopping there. The ultimate holy grail is AGI, true artificial general intelligence. We're talking about a system that can seamlessly adapt to any situation, just like you or I can. It's not just about mastering a single closed game like chess anymore. It's about building a machine architecture that can learn, reason, and apply knowledge universally, across literally every cognitive domain. The goal is to transcend human limits altogether. Which brings us right to Section 2, the technological singularity. Building on decades of theory, computer scientist Werner Vinge came up with this brilliant metaphor. He described the arrival of superintelligence as a technological black hole. It makes perfect sense when you think about it. Just like the laws of physics totally break down at the center of a real black hole, our ability to predict the future completely shatters the exact moment we create an entity smarter than ourselves. Ray Kurzweil later expanded on this, describing it as an era where the line between human and machine biology might just blur entirely. So how does this massive explosion in intelligence actually happen? It boils down to recursive self-improvement. Basically, instead of relying on human programmers to spoon-feed it data, an AI learns how to learn. It assesses its own performance, tweaks its own code, validates the upgrade to make sure it's actually superior, and then it iterates. And because it's free from biological limits, a machine could run this loop millions of times a second. This positive feedback loop creates an exponential cognitive explosion straight towards superintelligence. Let's move on to Section 3, forecasting the AI timeline. Okay, get this. Tech giants like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta are currently pouring over $300 billion every single year into AI infrastructure. $300 billion. In the forecasting world, we call this a massive revealed preference. Companies simply do not gamble hundreds of billions of dollars of unprecedented capital unless they are absolutely convinced that transformative general capabilities are arriving very, very soon. And the expert predictions? They've aggressively shifted from way out in the distant future right to our near term. Just over the past 5 years, the estimated arrival of AGI has seriously accelerated. Prediction markets are now pointing to the 2030s. A massive recent survey placed the median arrival for high-level machine intelligence at 2047. Think about that. That is a stunning 13-year leap forward from the exact same survey conducted literally just 1 year prior. Even the timeline for the full automation of human labor has sped up by decades. The consensus is converging fast. Now we have to tackle Section 4, the threat of superintelligence. The Machine Intelligence Research Institute has issued some pretty stark warnings here. We are on track to build superintelligence with almost no robust way to actually steer or control its behavior. The risks are, frankly, catastrophic. We're talking malicious misuse for weapons of mass destruction, like engineered pathogens, great power wars triggered by the mad dash for AI supremacy, authoritarian regimes locking in permanent global control. But the most alarming one? A simple loss of control. If we don't perfectly align an AI's goals with humanity's, researchers view a catastrophic disempowerment of humans as the literal default trajectory. This leads us to our final part, Section 5, Strategies for Human Survival. So how on earth do we avoid catastrophe and govern an intelligence that's smarter than us? Experts have mapped out 4 high-level geopolitical scenarios. The first is basically what we're doing right now, the light touch reality. Governments are mostly just letting AI companies self-regulate. Experts view this as extremely unsafe. It encourages a wild corporate race to openly release highly capable, potentially dangerous models. And that whole hope that defensive AI will protect us, that completely falls apart when you're dealing with asymmetric threats, like engineered bioweapons, which are just vastly easier to deploy than they are to defend against. Then there's the U.S. national project scenario. In this one, the U.S. government wakes up to the strategic threat and basically sprints to establish unilateral control over global AI development. Now, while this centralizes security, it carries immense risks. You're looking at domestic power grabs, the danger of proliferation leaks, and the massive risk of sparking a global war with rival nations who feel threatened by this sudden dash for a decisive strategic advantage. Another pretty fragile option is the threat of sabotage. Picture a world where nations realize AI could permanently wreck the global balance of power, so they start actively interfering with each other's AI progress just to keep things slow. This is essentially a deterrence model, but it relies heavily on maintaining just enough security to stop rogue actors, but not enough to stop state-sponsored sabotage. It is a highly precarious and tense balance. According to the analysis, the most credible path to actually avoiding extinction is the off-switch and halt scenario. This would require the entire world to come together to coordinate and build the technical, legal, and institutional infrastructure necessary to heavily monitor and restrict dangerous AI. If a global consensus decides that AI development has just become too risky, this infrastructure acts as a literal off-switch, allowing humanity to enforce a complete worldwide halt on frontier AI activities. This pause could buy researchers the decades they might need to figure out AI alignment and safety. When you map out these geopolitical governance scenarios, you see how deeply interconnected they are. Starting from our current light touch reality, reactions to catastrophic warning shots, massive capability breakthroughs, or even mutual global concern can easily cascade humanity down entirely different strategic paths. It makes one thing crystal clear. Surviving AGI isn't just some complex math or tech problem, it is the ultimate geopolitical challenge. And it's going to require unprecedented global coordination to navigate successfully toward a safe future. As we rapidly approach this era of recursive self-improvement, an era where machines learn how to learn and iterate at speeds we literally can't comprehend, we are left with a profound challenge. The technology is accelerating, the investments are absolutely massive, and the timelines are shrinking fast. So the ultimate question we have to ask ourselves today is this: